Hey, it's James Robbins here, and in this video, I'm going to share with you the 4 biggest mistakes that leaders make when telling stories or when trying to use storytelling to motivate their staff and inspire their teams. Okay, so let me just jump on over to my slides here for a moment. But basically, in the biggest mistake storytellers make, mistake number 1 is that they spend too much time on the backstory or the setting. Now, if you saw my earlier video where I walked you through the basic story arc, then I told you that all stories begin with the setting, which is just a character and a place. Who and where are they, right? Just this basic thing. But what happens with people is they think that you've got to set this up, that you've got to talk about the backstory. And that's why at the family reunion, Uncle Larry's got to give the 30-minute backstory. You don't need the backstory. You just need the quick setting, like character setting. And so that's a big mistake. People take way too long on the back setting or the backdrop, thinking that's going to make all the difference in the story. It really doesn't. Okay, so too much time on the backstory or setting. You don't need that. Who's there? Where are they? What's happening? That's all. The brain just needs that piece, that starting point. And once it's got that, it's good to go. All right, the second biggest mistake is having an inciting incident not clear. So again, what's the inciting incident? Now again, if you watch the story arc training, the inciting incident is that part in the story near the beginning where the story really kicks off. It's that moment where, and then this happened, right? So if you've ever heard somebody telling a story and it just seems flat, it's usually because there's no inciting incident. It's just like a series of details, like facts, like somebody wrote in their journal just the facts of what they did that day. That's not a story, right? So a story is so I went to the store in the afternoon, and when I went to pay, all of a sudden the cashier's nose started bleeding right in front of me. That would be an example of an inciting incident, like something happened. So there's this clear moment where your story takes off. So think about that. In the next story you tell, where is the and then this happened? That's super important. If that's not there, your story is off to a weak start. All right. So too much time on the backstory or the setting, the inciting incident not clear. The third biggest mistake that people make is tension is not developed because there are no stakes. So I was telling a story about trying to reach this bus in order to get on it so I could go meet a bunch of executives because my car was in the shop and they wanted this impromptu meeting to discuss a proposal that I'd given them. And I just said, yes, I'll be there because that's what you say. I'll be there, right? And so I'm on my way to this bus and I had my daughter with me. It's a long, crazy story, but I was saying that like we've got to make this bus, and if we don't make this bus, I'm probably not going to get this contract. And if I don't get this contract, because this was early on in my career, then we're probably not going to have Christmas. And so I include that in the story on purpose because I'm helping them understand there are stakes here. If I don't make the bus, I'm going to miss the meeting. And if I miss the meeting, I'm probably not going to get a contract. If I don't get the contract, this is going to be hard on our family financially. So all of those things made it into the story. And even though it only took 5 seconds, 7 seconds to say those things, it creates tension. It creates, because I've raised the stakes. So you want to figure out, like, how do I raise the stakes on my story? Because all stories should have some element of conflict in them. And so how do I take that conflict and how do I make it a bigger deal for the audience so they get brought into that, all right? And the biggest mistake, number 4, is that there's no point, right? So have you ever had somebody tell you a story and they're finished, but you're waiting for the point? Like you're like, and like, what's the reason you just told me that story? And so when there's no point, there's no point. Like there's no point to tell the story. So it's one thing if you're sitting around the campfire. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about using storytelling as a leader to motivate employees, inspire staff, rally your team, these types of things. Storytelling is very powerful in the workplace. So you want to make sure that you're not making these 4 mistakes, okay? And listen, if you would like to learn more about how to tell stories and how to use storytelling in your leadership, then I want to invite you to check out my course, Storytelling for Leaders, and it's going to show you how to motivate your employees, inspire your team, and communicate like a master. And if you'd like to check out the details on that, just hit the button or click on the link rather that's in the description below this video.